Guys, what's going on? This is going to be my Moderate Nerd episode 3 video, so let's go ahead and get started. Waste no time here. The first story I wanted to go over kind of relates to the story I was talking about a couple weeks ago with the Bud Light boycott, but now Target is caught in the crosshairs because they decided in a lot of their stores to put LGBT pride outfits and clothes and swimsuits in the front of the Target store, not just in the Target store in the clothing section. Some have it in the front, some have it in the back. My Super Target has it in the back, but they put it right in the front next to the registers so that every single person has to see it when they walk through. And they've gotten some backlash over this, and rightfully so, because as I've said already, I'm sick of this agenda being shoved down our throats. I know it's kind of like a gay pun or whatever, but I'm dead serious about this. I'm kind of sick of it at this point. I can't go 2-3 days without hearing something about LGBTQ, L plus minus divided by sign, equal to, parentheses, hyphen, or pride. And I'm kind of getting sick of it. And one of the main reasons why people are boycotting it is because there was some misconception about there were bathing suits for like tuckable bathing suits. Or if you're a guy, you can like tuck your package so that it looks like you're a girl. And apparently, at least from when I first started seeing the story, a lot of people thought they were releasing that for kids, which I looked into it and they are not. They are releasing those swimsuits, but those are for adults. However, they still are releasing kids' pride outfits and like little kid pride, like, baby outfits and shoes and whatever. And, just keep the kids out of it. As I said before, there is an article that I wanted to bring up just because of how laughable the title is. It kind of goes into the theme of today's episode, or this week's episode rather. It's on Newsweek.com by Fatma Khalid, and it says Target boycott over LGBTQ plus products is literally terrorism, says an economist. The article doesn't say who the economist is, but I think that's quite frankly absurd. It says Target was prompted to remove its pride-themed products after threats were reportedly made to store employees in the midst of backlash. The retailer will be pulling the items at the center of the most significant confrontational behavior from customers. So some people are painting this as terrorism, which I think is just absurd. It wasn't terrorism when they were burning the streets for Black Lives Matter. It's not terrorism now. That's just a way to divide the country and divide Americans. People are just passionate about it. And you can't exclude your customer base, which includes people who are religious and have religious views and don't agree with the LGBTQ agenda. I'm religious. I don't agree with it. But you know what? If you want to do that, then do that. I don't need to see all about it. Because what it's promoting is free and open sexuality. That's what LGBTQ is. And it doesn't belong in front of kids. Kids shouldn't be talking about regular sexuality, let alone gay sexuality at all. So it's just kind of ridiculous. So just something to think about. If you feel strongly about it, boycott Target, but it's kind of hard because I go there for a lot of different items. It's kind of a one-stop shop. So the next docket on the agenda here is DeSantis, who I talked about last week, is launching his presidential bid, and he launched it on Twitter mainly because he didn't want the legacy media like Fox or CNN having coverage, and he wanted to control the message. There was some technical hiccups from what I saw. A lot of people got kicked out and then had to rejoin, and there were some audio issues, which you got to blame Elon Musk and you got to blame the people in charge of that on the Twitter staff for that. But I kind of like this idea by DeSantis to kind of do something a little bit different and not rely on the media and on TV to kind of spread his message, because they're going to edit things. They're going to ask him loaded questions because he's a Republican. They never ask Republicans fair questions. It's always some loaded nonsense. And good on him. Good on him for doing so. And I hope this kind of paves the way for our future, presidential campaigns or future campaigns, whether it be at the local or state level, to kind of start implementing these policies, with Elon Musk leading the charge for the open free speech forum that is Twitter. I think obviously it was a rough start, but it was the first time it's ever happened. So there's going to be hiccups. There always is when you're trying something new and you want to shake the status quo. So, hopefully Twitter learns from this, and hopefully future politicians are able to use this new free media type of style to get their message across and not be censored by, the media they pick one political side and it's very obvious. All of them are in unison that the Democrats are angels and the Republicans are the devil. And that's just not the case. There's black and white on both sides, good and bad on both sides. That's why I try to stay in the middle when I can, stay moderate. And painting one side as evil or, inconsiderate is just, quite frankly, a really stupid argument, an uninformed argument, and I don't agree with it. So that's just something to keep in mind. Whether or not you support DeSantis or not, it is good to see someone trying something new in the political space and trying to keep things fresh and get his message across any way he can and kind of shake the status quo. So the last thing I wanted to talk about has to stem from political differences, and that's kind of the whole theme of today's or this week's episode. And so this is from the Daily Wire. This is kind of a sad story when I read it. It's by Brandon Dre, and the title is "Pro-Choice Activist Brutally Attacks Two Elderly Pro-Life Advocates Outside of Baltimore Planned Parenthood." So there were apparently these two elderly people outside of this Planned Parenthood. I'll go ahead and read some of the article here. So local pro-lifer John Roswell told LifeSite News in an email that pro-life advocates Dick Schaefer, 80 years old, and Mark Crosby, 73, were assaulted and seriously injured outside the abortion facility on North Howard Street in Baltimore in an unprovoked attack last week. And you can't see the picture here, but this man's face is fucked up. And it's kind of fucked up that they did that to him just because he has a difference of opinion. Whether or not you believe in your body, your choice, or don't kill the babies, you can kind of see both sides, but there's a way to be civil about this, and people should be allowed to protest in front of whatever building they want, as long as it's not someone's, private residence, in front of any business they want. Planned Parenthood, the writers' strike outside of Hollywood, the Capitol building, the Senate building. People should be able to protest as long as it's peaceful. They can have their signs, and that's what America is all about. We have the right to an assembly and the right to kind of speak our minds about these things when we feel like there's misconduct going on, or we feel strongly about whatever's going on in the world. And if we want to have a voice and be able to be heard, we should be allowed to protest without fear of getting the shit beat out of you, for lack of a better way to put it. So this man's right cheek was fractured, and just because this person disagreed with their ideology, so to speak, of, protecting the innocent or how they see it. And you may not agree with it, or you may view it a different way. It's your body. If you don't want to have a kid, you don't have to have a kid, but they're allowed to have their say too. It's not just because you believe doesn't mean everyone is forced to. A lot of the country is religious, and a lot of the country believes that men and women too. And, the media likes to paint this that, it's only men, and if you don't have a uterus, but then they also want to preach that men can have uteruses and can get pregnant. So it's all right, you got to pick one lane, but the media picks both lanes. They want to say that if you're not a woman, you can't talk about this subject, but also men could be women and participate in swim meets and other things. So, they don't know how to pick a side, so men should be able to speak on this topic too. Because what if he identified as a woman? You know what I mean? The media kind of painted themselves into a corner here. And you can kind of see the reason why I chose this story. One, because it's sad. But two, because the main reason is it's starting to get really, really insane and kind of, I don't know, it's just crazy that people are literally starting to beat the fuck out of each other for different opinions. And our politics are so divided nowadays that it's either you're for this side or you're evil. No one wants to listen to the other side of the argument on both sides, and there is a lot of gray there. And that's why, in terms of abortion, it's going to be a very big topic for the presidential campaign. And I know a lot of people are going to be talking about it's going to be the economy, abortion, that's definitely up there. So it's definitely an important subject, but I just wanted to talk about this article just to stress that if you have a difference of opinion, just settle it with your voice. No need to cause physical harm to anyone, regardless of how evil you may feel their opinions are. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.